Well. Leeds United have played against. Oh, God. Sheffield Wednesday, and it hasn't worked out in the slightest. And there were several reasons that it didn't work out in the slightest. And we'll get to those. Oh, boy, we'll get to those. But in addition to that, it wasn't just that made it a very, very, very bad day to be a Leeds fan. No. The world decided it had more. It had more things that would have gone wrong. One second, I just need to make sure that microphone is set up correctly. It looks to be okay. Cool. No, there's even more that went wrong in the match against Sheffield Wednesday, including the fact that Tanaka is now injured with an MCL problem for several weeks and will be out until at least after the international break. Now, that's not great, is it? No, that's not really great at all. Which is fun. Then you go beyond that, and you consider the reasons that we didn't win the match, and that also doesn't feel fantastic. And there's just more and more issues that I feel have sort of built and don't feel fantastic. So I'm going to go through those bit by bit. We're going to go through little bits of sort of news and stuff, and we're going to see roughly where we stand at the moment. First, I'm going to talk about the Tanaka thing. The Tanaka injury is an MCL. As far as Daniel Farke has said it, it was a case of MCL problem, which is going to keep him out until after the international break. He didn't say how long after the international break. It could just be one of those little niggles, one of those potential problems. I don't know. Going forwards, we will eventually find out where we're going with it. But unfun. I think losing Tanaka could potentially be a problem, especially if it's for an extended period, especially at the same time as Ethan Ampadu isn't here. Because that means that as much as people were saying, well, okay, so we drop Ilya Gruev, and that means that we can put Stack in as the 6, and then you got Longstaff and Tanaka next to him. No, you don't, because Tanaka's not there. So either you end up playing Brendan Aronson as an 8 with Tanaka as the 6, not Tanaka, Stack as the 6, which I don't think suits Stack. I think Stack is fantastic at ball progression. Or you sort of spiral a little bit. And you say, well, it's got to be Gruev, and then Stack and Longstaff in front. Because you're running low on options. Which is a bit weird. Tanaka and Ampadu were the best players against Everton. That's true. Which is not a good spot to be in. I will get to that a little bit later, Jim. I will get onto the big Daniel Farker-shaped conversation. But we're not going to get there yet. We will get there later. Because and I'm going to be very honest here, cannot be fucking arsed dealing with all of that at the start of a stream. I would like us to get a little bit further into the stream before we end up with absolute madness. I thought Stack was a 6 before he came. He was more of an 8 that does defensive work very, very effectively, as far as I know. I might be wrong in that, but that's roughly what I was sort of aware of. Looks like I was spot on about Blunderwood. Apologies, please. No, in the kindest way. Fuck yourself. He's still signed 10 players. Everyone being like, oh, Adam Underwood's having a nap again. He's made 10 senior signings. And we've had, realistically, 2 games in which the first 11 has played. I will get to that later. But need to talk a little bit about the match itself first. So, one of the early bits that I would like to note is a thing that I wasn't super happy with as a first match. It's a first match that I completely understand that you're not going to get the best possible performance, but it's still a bit of a pain. And someone did a quick compilation of DCL's issues from yesterday, is the way that I'm going to put that. 90th minute. That's the perfect opportunity to have your say and be like, cool, I'm going to properly grab that number 9 shirt. It's going to be fantastic. I blame Calvert-Lewin less for, because at least he's in the position and it's quite hard to get it around a goalkeeper who's a foot away from you, but still not brilliant. And then we've got the penalty. And all of that adds up to be a situation where I was a bit like, right. So I do agree with what No Smoke Without Fire has said, which is that Calvert-Lewin did pretty well. He got into the places to have those chances, and that's not something that we've necessarily had with Joel Piroe as the starting centre forward, because he's not fantastic at doing that. It's not something that we really have seen from Mecha yet. He's someone that will get on the end of chances that have been created for him. The penalty was horrific, but those things are going to happen sometimes. You never know. I do think he will grow from that, and I think he will do better. I think it's a case of rust rather than a case of being genuinely bad. But I also think that there is a little bit of fear to be had on that one of why couldn't we just get it done? Is a little bit of a thought for it. Then you've got the Darlow goal. And as much as going to counter what Guitar Hero has said wherever it is, will Newcastle smash us? I don't think Newcastle will smash us. Because if I search Sheffield Wednesday and I try and find their goal from yesterday, I can't find their goal from yesterday. Fuck's sake. I will find it somehow. There we go. Jamal Lowe goal. Right, let's open that. Let's full screen that. And let's hope that the clip actually works. Give it a second. There we go. The clip has decided to exist again. Cool. If I go full screen, I go to monitor 2. That was the wrong button. I don't know why it's reset the chat. If you guys could spam stuff in the chat just to fix it, that'd be lovely. But this is one of those goals that you can't really account for, if fairly effectively. It's pushed to the side, where in theory the other side isn't going to score a goal from there. Is the assumption. He's done everything that you are trained to do as a goalkeeper, which is get the ball out of the dangerous place, and then hopefully everything is fine. And then that's a bit of a horror. Because what he's tried to do is, if you've played cricket before, you'll know what a long barrier is. Where you plant this foot, you go to sort of one knee, and your knee is closing the gap that exists here. Darlow doesn't do that in this situation. Darlow goes to block it with his hands, whilst his legs are wide open. And it goes straight through. Which is something that you really, really, really can't legislate for from a tactical perspective. You can't say, we should have won that, and it's all Daniel Farke's fault that we didn't, because at the end of the day, nothing that he has put on the pitch has caused this goal to happen. This is entirely on Carl Darlow, which is a nightmare. Let's be completely honest about that. It is not a good situation to be in, but it's not something that can be avoided by a manager. Keeper cost us the game, didn't even serve a penalty. I think on the penalties front, if you're going to put the blame on one side of the pitch, surely you've got to look at the attackers that didn't score a single penalty out of 3. Surely. You've got to look at that situation, and you've got to go, that was a bit of a joke. Can we blame the goalkeeping coach? All of our keepers have been consistently making bad decisions and mistakes for years. No, for me, that's not a coaching issue. Because it doesn't take a goalkeeping coach to know what you should be doing with that, to be honest. It should not take a goalkeeping coach to say, get your body behind it. Because for me, that mistake is a bigger mistake than all of the Perry ones at the weekend combined. Because at least with the Perry ones, there's mitigating factors. With that one, it's directly at him. He's got both of his hands behind it, and he should have his body behind it. But he didn't. Which is a bit horrible, to be honest. I don't like these sad streams, but sometimes they need to happen, you know? Right, I'm gonna just quickly do something for the people who were immediately saying, we've got no chance at the weekend. and they're using yesterday's match as an example, right? Just gonna sort of show something here. Who didn't play? You didn't start. There we go. Right, so of our lineup from yesterday, which is, give me a second, that's a little bit too big. Just work. There we go. Sorry, everything's breaking a little bit, but I will unbreak it, that's fine. This is the number of changes that we made. Right, so if I just make that full screen, zoom in a touch. If it wants to behave, it doesn't want to behave. For fuck's sake. There we go. Yeah, this is the number of changes that we had to that starting 11. Mecha was not in the starting 11. Piru was playing out of position in the 10. Aronson was playing on the wing. He hasn't started on the wing in a competitive game of football for us. Okafor started on the left flank. Harrison completely out of position. Jakobiol hasn't played with Bornau before for an extended period of time. Sam Byram, admittedly in the right position, however, wasn't starting for us, and Darlow just came in for that match. And this isn't me saying that we were good. This is me saying that there are mitigating factors for being bad. So if, by comparison, you want to look at the team that we are more likely to be playing at the weekend, right? So we'll go with DCL, because I think he genuinely might get some minutes. Longstaff, Gruev will have to play. Piru won't. Piru will, I think, be dropped for Stack. Aronson drops for James. I think Okafor probably starts. At left back, you have Gudmundsson. Left centre back, I think we go back to Strauch and Rodon as the pairing. And then at right back, it is Bogle with Perry in net. There are only 2 players in that side that are going to be starting both of those games, in my opinion. Maybe we play Mecha up top. Mecha, I think, look very, very good. But this is the number of changes that we would have against Newcastle. So every single person that is looking at that match from last night and going, actually, against Newcastle, we are completely fucked. I don't think so. Because I think it's a completely different team. It's a very, very different side. So to look at the match that happened against Sheffield Wednesday and go, this will be identical to the match that happened against Newcastle, is nuts. Joe, it's natural to be worried that this isn't a one-off. Newcastle match is massive, the performance as much as the result. For me, I think the performance is more important than the result. So why put that team out in the first place? Because it's a cup match. Because you're not going to play your first 11 every single game. Because realistically, that just doesn't happen. Like, you play a rotated side in the Carabao Cup. That it keeps your other players fresher, especially when you're in a situation where, like, you've got 2 midfielders out. That is, in my opinion, why Piru played. Piru played over Stack because that way, at least you get to protect one of your midfielders. Add on to that the fact that Calvert-Lewin is just getting into his fitness. Add on to that the fact that Okafor, again, hasn't properly meshed with the side yet because he's only just come in. At the end of the day, we've played 2 games of football that matter. No, I will be honest with you. I don't give a shit about the Carabao Cup. I don't care either way how we do in the Carabao. What I care a little bit more about is what our performances look like in the league. So, if our performance is like it was against Sheffield Wednesday against Newcastle, then I think we're in trouble and we've got 2 days to get a hell of a lot done. Assuming we don't get anything done before then, but I think we will. But I think to look at the Sheffield Wednesday match and go, actually, this teaches us lessons about the Premier League. I don't think it does. I don't think we're going to be in a position like that very often this season. We're not often going to be in the spot where we are just laying into other teams. like we were against Sheffield Wednesday, except we didn't for an extended period of time because we did a lot more of the sort of passive hold the ball stuff, because the theory of you're safer in possession than you are out of possession. But you can't just do that against Premier League sides. So I think tactically there's not even that much of a sort of lesson to be learned. I think for me in that match, Calvert-Lewin showed his potential. Okafor showed that he is, at the very least, a very good technical footballer. If he could be a bit more direct, that'd be wonderful. Don't want Perry in goal, forget it. Right, okay, so, right, slink. For fuck's sake. 2 corners, and Joe went through this on his big up yesterday, so I'm just going to sort of run through what he mentioned. The 2 corners, he can't do much about. That is entirely on the defence to sort, because it is. That's how set pieces work. If there is a free header in the box, it gets very difficult for a goalkeeper to stop. When it comes to the penalty, nothing he can do about that. When it comes to the right-footed shot from Gyökeres, that's coming through 3 different bodies of his own defenders, and he can't see that ball. His reaction time is reduced to that, and you're not getting there in time, because he had a hell of a stop to try and make while still trying to look around bodies to go, where's the ball? Which is a pain, to be honest. Like, been there, not an easy save to make. Understandable that he didn't make it. Then the final one, the Saka one, which I've seen him get the most abuse for, is coming here. The shot is at this shoulder. This is one of those where he's got half a second, and the only thing that he can realistically do to save that is swivel his entire arm to here. You've not got the time to go, oh shit. You just don't. And a lot of people would say, well, his positioning was a bit wrong, he was waiting for the low shot. If he waits for the high shot, Saka hits it low and he can't stop that either. It was a really, really good finish. I don't blame Perry for those goals, I blame what was a shocking defence. So I think to sort of lay the blame at the hands of the goalkeeper is exactly the reason that no one wants to be a fucking goalkeeper. Because you get all of the abuse regardless of whether it's your fault or not. It's nuts. For me, Perry stays. Not stays, well, he starts this weekend. I said the wrong word, it'll do. But he stays as well. Both of them. Players need time to bed in. That's true as well, yeah. We're still very early in the season. 3 games in, is it too early for Farke to get the knives out? Or do we get... It's way too early to get the knives out for a managerial sacking. After 2 league games, the one that you lost being against the team that's come second in the league for the last 3 seasons in a row. And again, I've said it before, beat Real Madrid in the last 6 months. In fact, in the last 6 months, beat Real Madrid 3-0 and beat PSV 7-1. I think the people that are sort of looking for a sacking now are people that have been looking for a sacking for the past 2 years. And they've seen 2 bad games of football, which, by the way, have happened under every manager. If you show me a manager that you love, I will show you times where they've had multiple stinkers in a row and then recovered from it. But because this time it validates people's sort of pre-existing assumptions and biases, it's like, oh, this needs to be a sacking now. It doesn't. Come on. Two rotten displays in a row may prove to be a good thing because we may panic and go out and get a marquee signing. I think it'll contribute to going out and signing more players, because I think performing badly in that way shows that there is a relative lack of depth at the club. So it'll become a case of the 49ers will look at that and go, that's our second team. Let's sort it. And then I think we'll be heading in a better direction, at the very least. I don't know. Who's going to come to Leeds at the moment? Right. A lot of people say this, and a lot of people like, we just got beat by Arsenal 5-0. Who's going to come to Leeds United? You can have that approach, but I promise you the footballers themselves are not. There is no way in hell that they're going, right, big career move, okay? I could go to the Premier League, or I could go to, I don't know, Ligue 1, which is, let's be honest, the worst of the big 5 leagues. They're not going to look at the fact that Leeds have been beaten by, again, one of the top sides in the league, and in response go, Oh, I'm never going there then. Because no one thinks that hilariously short term when they're looking at long run career decisions. That's not how that works. Are the Werner links true? I've not even seen a Timo Werner link. I hope not. It looks like bollocks, to be honest. He's also a left winger, so I don't think that works. Yeah, I think someone that plays out on the right wing is probably going to be more likely the next move compared to Werner. People call Liga and rubbish, but it's full of ballers. It's full of decent individuals, but in terms of the level of the teams in the league, it ain't great. And this is from someone who has worked quite a lot with Liga and their broadcasts and all that kind of stuff. There are very genuinely good footballers over there, but the sort of general level isn't. There's a lot of very good individuals. So, sort of like the floor is very low and the average is relatively low, and then you've got the occasional like, whew. But it's one of those leagues that is also struggling in terms of money. So, I don't know. Slink, I don't know what you're saying at this point. You're just sort of like shouting into the void, and I don't quite understand it. I was very much for giving Farke a fair until last night. They need to start making contingent. They will have already made contingency plans. That's how football ownership works. Any football owner at any point in time will have a list of what if X player or coach leaves. And then at that point, it's like, okay, then we go to this person, or this person, or this person. And you start making moves like that. But that's fine and normal, and will already be a thing that's in progress. So if your worry at the moment is, what if the 49ers don't have a short list of managers to go for in the event that we sack Daniel Farke? They're going to have that. With Ampadu and Tanaka in the team, we're a solid outfit. We are, and the issue is they're both injured at the same time. So I'll be honest, if we play against Newcastle and we look reasonably good, I'm going to take that as a win. Like, not in terms of points or the table or whatever, but keeping in mind that we're missing what I would say is two of our starting three midfielders. That ain't too bad. I know we don't talk KG, but I'm looking forward to his individual breakdown assessment on new signings when the window's shut. I'm not going to start like breaking down and rating transfers the moment after the window closes. And I know a lot of people do, right? A lot of people look at it and go, oh, well, look at the players that we signed. It's not a good window. We don't know how Okafor's going to perform. We don't know how Calvert-Lewin or Metra are going to perform. We don't know if Stack being really, really good is a one-off, or even him being really good is sort of a low bar and he's going to get really, really good. Like, you can't judge a transfer window, or at least the individual signings of a transfer window, immediately after it's closed, because you don't know how it's turned out. It's your recruitment for a year. At the earliest, I'd say give it like 8 to 10 games. And then you can say, actually, how was the window? At that point, you'd sort of have a little bit of a look. But I think there's a lot of people that will have a look at it and go, yeah, it was a dreadful window. And then it might be a case of in 2 or 3 months, like, they were proven wrong. But they won't acknowledge the fact that they were proven wrong, because at that point, that video was a couple of months back and no one has remembered it. The occasional what dot dot dot, can you put that noise on a replay button, please? I don't know what you're talking about, Scooby. I'm sorry. Leeds, Newcastle roll Leeds on Saturday. I don't know. I think it depends, because I think they are also missing some players. I think it was Cher got a concussion. Tonali came off with a bit of an issue. Bruno came off. No, wait, it was Joe Linton came off with an issue, and Gordon suspended. And they don't really have any other centre forward. They do. Harvey Barnes can play up top, and Harvey Barnes always scores against Leeds. Uh-oh. Okay, that's not great. We'll see how that one goes then. But I don't think it's a case of we'll get rolled over. I think it'll be a genuine close game of football. Because again, everyone keeps missing the fact that we were very rotated against Sheffield Wednesday. With Jack Harrison was our left back. Come on. Obviously, it's not going to go too well. I think it'll be significantly closer. Fans never happy. Everyone complained that the squad wasn't big enough under Bielsa, and when we beef up the squad, they complain the signings aren't good enough. Yeah, everyone would like us to sign a team of players that are mid-table Premier League level. You can't do it in one window. You just can't. And the number of people that are sort of going, Adam Blunderwood, they're asleep at the wheel, whatever. You've got limitations. Your limits are budget, PSR, squad registration size. Because you can only get a squad of 25 registered. And we've hit that squad limit. So anyone else that we get in, we'll have to send someone out to counter that. 3 forward players in, 15 million spent, 2 on a free. But we're not done. That's the thing. It was what I was saying when Joe of the Wayneman variety said yesterday on a stream that he was doing that like the proof's in the pudding. To which I said, well, the pudding is still in the oven. Like, you don't eat a cake before it's done, and I'm not gonna judge said cake's taste before it's out. So I think I'm gonna give it till Monday, get a better idea of like where we actually are, and if we've not done the moves that we need to do, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. But I'm gonna give them the time to get it done, because I don't think it's gonna finish with 3 forward players in, 15 million spent. And I would also like to just quickly like make the note of if we would have signed like Calvert-Lewin for £10 million, a lot of people would be significantly happier because there'd be a number attached to it. The amount that you've spent doesn't necessitate the quality of the player. So I don't know. Why put Peru back at? I'm not going to say it. You can't say it. What? I think it was more of a against Sheffield Wednesday it might work well enough kind of deal, and it makes sure that you don't need to play stack. Because if you can do a little bit of rotating and make sure that we don't lose a third midfielder, then we're in a very, very good spot. But if you do end up losing that third midfielder, problems. Big problems. In fairness, Joe's having second thoughts on Leeds early signing Bornau. 6 million fullback, centre back wing. Was he 6? I thought he was 4 and a bit. Either way. Yeah, Bornau hasn't really made the best of early impressions, but he's a 4th choice centre back. I'm not too mad at that, to be honest with you. It's fine enough. Rafinha was signed on the last day of the window. He was, and I imagine that if we didn't get Rafinha in that season, we would have potentially gone back down again. I know we finished 9th at the end of that season, but that doesn't mean that like Rafinha's impact wasn't colossal. We bought a load of right. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. We've come out of a match where we've changed 9 out of our 11 starting players, or at least changed their positions, and we've gone, it's all shit. It's not all shit, for fuck's sake. It's all unfamiliar with each other, and the assumption that it is just a horrible, horrible side is nuts. It's exhausting. Genuinely. Also, noting Deitch, the amount of people that yesterday were like, this is such boring football in the first half. I wish we were playing more exciting stuff. We need to sign Sean Deitch. Sorry? Just right. We gotta come close for this one. Leeds United need to play more exciting football, and to do that, You want Sean Dyche to make it more fun. You what? Dyche? Sean Dyche? Okay. Okay. If we're really doing that, if you insist, because that feels like a bad idea. I'm not reaching 30 points with Farke as manager. Okay, one, not a big fan of the personal insults. Let's not do that. Two, again, 2 games into the fucking season. And we have played, out of the teams that will potentially contend for the title, 1. We played Everton, we beat them. That's not some weird one-off. Being that systematic and doing better than them ain't going to be the only time that we look good against a team. And to assume, we're just not getting 30 teams, sack the manager. We're 3 matches into the fucking season. Jesus Christ, I know that football fans are impatient. But there's impatient, and then there's, well, it's a grand total of 8 days since our return to Premier League football. And I'll be honest, I think we need to make a fundamental change already. The fuck are you talking about? Come on. Can we have a little bit of composure for 4 seconds, please? Please. You make yourself look like tits. Okay, sure. If you want to put some actual oomph behind that argument, go for it. But if you're going to use terms like Farke spelt wrong, is a German fuckwanker, I'm going to question just how sort of reliable that take is on your part, to be honest. It's what Leeds fans do. Let's not forget how quickly everyone turned on Bielsa. Yeah, when we got promoted to the Premier League last time, I don't forget that everyone was like, Bielsa took us up, but I don't know if he's going to be the guy for the Premier League. I don't know whether it'll suit the style. And then, lo and behold, things turned out okay, and shitting the bed wasn't the way to go. And people continue to shit the bed. You can go back to 1, you spelt hell wrong. 2, Germany's often a far nicer place than a lot of the UK. I don't know quite what take you've absorbed here, but Governments are not better than Firpo, especially when it comes to offensive options. I think it's a little bit early to judge. He's played 2 games of competitive football. And it's fair enough. You can think that that's the sort of direction that Goodmanson will be going. But I think in terms of going forward, he's very, very, very good. He struggled against Arsenal. Fair enough. But I think he is an upgrade on Firpo. It'll just take a little bit of time. Just to see what sort of direction that goes. Generally believe some just hate on him because of his nationality and low-key racism. Low-key is an interesting way of putting that. I don't know how low the key is. That's not even a sentence, Slink. That's just a bunch of words. I don't think you've spelt Farke right at any point. Some fans would sack 6 managers a season. It's Chileno ball. Right, bring back Bielsa. He's managing the Uruguay team. We cannot bring back Marcelo Bielsa. It would be a dream, but it's not going to happen. I told you Farke not good enough for the Premier League. I told you that you keep spelling Farke wrong. And yet you keep on doing it. So, on what Weak Eye Dominant has said, with keeping on hold of Harrison being a mistake, the issue around that is you can't just throw them out. They've got to go somewhere. And we've not really seen anyone have an interest in signing Jack Harrison, which makes things incredibly tough. So in terms of, you need to get rid of one of your left wingers. You've got Largi Ramazani, who there is interest in him, There is Jack Harrison, who there isn't interest in him. Only one of those can reasonably go. Your other left winger is Okafor, who you've just signed. The other one on top of that is Willie Gnonto, who started the first couple of games of the season and will play a lot of football. So I don't know. Just because no one wants him doesn't mean we have to hold on to him. If he isn't good enough, he could have picked up kits for 80k a week. No, but in that case, you're just paying someone 80k a week to be a kit man. No, that's insanity. It's nuts. Although I'm going to go through the Slink line, see what's going on with this. Now, fuck off our screens by Boo. Just Joe said we won't be getting Maino. Again, you spelled Mainu wrong. And they did say yesterday that we very probably won't be doing it, but it'd be very interesting if it were to happen. At no point did I say we're going to be signing Kobe Mainu. But I said it'd be quite interesting one because there's a midfield 8 that can do box-to-box stuff. You chatting out of your ass? No, it's this. It's a mouth. But, sure. Nobody's come for players like Harrison, Bamford or Mez, so they will be here. Yeah, it's tricky. I don't think they'll be registered. Well, Harrison will be registered. I don't see Bamford or Melia getting registered. Some might say keeping Aronson, Harrison, Byram. I don't mind Byram. Byram is two-sided backup. I think he'll be fine enough. Darlow, if we didn't have Darlow, we wouldn't have a backup goalkeeper. Gruev, I think, is fine as a backup player. And Piru got the Calder boot in the Championship last season. So to throw him out after like 2 games is nuts to me. Piru is the most shittest player I've ever seen. Might I introduce you to Tyler Roberts? Yeah, I think I agree with what Anthony said up here somewhere. Regarding moving Harrison on, if there are no offers and we're paying his wages, we might as well try and get the best of him. You're already paying, there's no point. It'd be like buying a magazine that's a bit shit. No, hold on. No, I'll go with this. It'd be like having a subscription to a magazine that comes every week and being like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that magazine. And instead of reading any of it, you just burn every single edition. Like, you're still paying. Like, you might as well have a look. Get your sentiment as a business plan. That's fair. If a bid of around 15 million came in for Piru, would you let him go? I don't know. I don't think he's worth as little as 15. I think he's a 20 sort of player. If it was 15 with add-ons, then maybe. And we would have to make sure that we're getting new, different player. But it's a good question. Byram, Grove, Aronson, Piru should be last results. I mean, they're currently backups. Like, Piru isn't going to keep starting. Piru is going to lose his place in the starting lineup to Calvert-Lewin or Metcher. He's not going to stay a first 11 kind of guy. He's going to be rotational. Aronson, again, rotation option. Byram, rotation option. Gruev, rotation option. That's what they are. It's fine. I agree, Anomaly, but a lot of people don't. It's one of those cases of someone starts having an opinion, they get tied to it, and they're stuck. You said Leeds are linked to Mainu. Where did you... Right, okay. 1, you spelled very little of that correct. Again, right, just to clear up, right. In year 7, this is ages ago, I did like a national spelling bee thing. I came 8th, so I'm the 8th best speller of my age in the country. But this is why I'm sort of pointing this out repeatedly. And again, if you're going to say that I'm talking out of my arse, Joe is simultaneously talking out of his arse. Joe is simultaneously talking out of his arse. I said there have been reports that are linking Leeds to Mainu. Not that Leeds are going to sign Kobe Mainu. So when it comes to me saying things, don't just pretend I said a different thing. Sorry, microphone. Because that's not how conversation works. It's like if I were to read your message and go, Leeds are linked to Mainu. Damn, he's the shit. You're just taking completely different meanings from words at this point. Both Joes are clueless. Thank you. Do you mind telling me why I'm clueless? Because again, this is one of those. Like, if you can back up your point, sure, and there will be times where I'm completely clueless. But like, back it. Come on. Don't just say the words "you're clueless." Explain why. The Slinky's banned from a lot of streams. Yeah, but unless someone's straight up abusive, then I don't like banning people. Amps are now going down almost simultaneously, exposes the midfield depth with getting boggled both missed time about Rodon goes down, tripling depth. I mean, we're as depth can be. Beyond this, it is like we have as many players as we're allowed to register. You can't just add infinitely. It's not something that you can do. So it's one of those ways, sort of like stuck with a where do you need the depth the most issue, which ain't great, but kind of deal with it. Thank you guys, by the way. I love that you're spelling police. It does make people's opinion. I'm not going to spelling police that. I'm going to grammar police it though. People's needs an apostrophe. Do you think we play 4-2-3-1 against Newcastle to keep that midfielder on the bench just in case? I don't think so. I think that would be a risk that we don't want to take because Newcastle are very good at being defensively solid. Which is a little bit of an issue. Like they tend to win the midfield battle, and only playing two in midfield loses that battle very, very quickly. There's maybe an argument that you drop Aronson into there, so you get a little bit more energy, but then again, you're not going to win the physical battle using Brendan Aronson. So I think it's kind of got to be Gruev, Longstaff, and Stack for me. Apart from Stack and Governments and all of our signings have been the same level as the squad, I firmly disagree. Right, let's have a quick look at transfer market so I've got a full list. Come on, transfer market. Never mind, it's broken. Leeds United transfers in. There we go. Right, so players in. Anton Stack. We have agreed improves the level. I think Okafor improves the level when he's playing to his best, which, admittedly, he wasn't last night, but he's still becoming a part of the side. Jakobiol is, in my opinion, probably a step up from Pascal Struijk in terms of consistency. Perry, if you want to tell me that Lucas Perry isn't a step up from Darlow and Meslier, go ahead. But I think you've immediately lost quite a lot of... what's the word I'm aiming for? Oomph? I don't know. Goodmanson, you said yourself, is an improvement. Longstaff, I don't know if Longstaff's an improvement, but last season we were pretty damn good in the midfield anyway. James Justin, I think is a decent enough backup. We've not signed him as a first teamer. Like, we know this. And Bornau, we know, is a fourth choice. Calvert-Lewin, I believe, is filling the sort of Bamford profile role of someone that presses a lot, gets in the positions, and will start finishing. I do firmly believe that. So I think he's an improvement on Bamford. And I think if you are looking at Lucas Mecha and Mateo Joseph, and you're saying that Mateo Joseph is the worst of the two options, Mecha is a big step up for me. So there. Where are we? On the other hand, Newcastle have 1 point out of 6. Yeah, I mean, look at the teams that were above, right? Go to the Premier League table. Zoom it to about there. That'll do. Bosh. Right. That's a little bit small, isn't it? But that's okay. Leeds are 12th. Admittedly, not the best place to be. However, Newcastle haven't won a game. Scum haven't won a game. Villa haven't won a game. Neither have Brighton. Those are teams that are going to improve. You know who isn't necessarily going to improve? West Ham, who look shocking. Wolves, we've got no evidence that they're going to get any better. Just to be a little bit clear on this as well. If Leeds win, we're in the top half. And I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, but Leeds won't win because X, Y, Z. Match hasn't happened yet. Newcastle looking relatively weak. And at that point, right, this is a very, very big, good question that I've got for everyone. If you are someone that is opposed to Daniel Farke currently being in his job, in the event that we beat Newcastle, will you be just as quick to flip again? Because after Everton, everyone was like, that was fantastic, that was brilliant. After Arsenal, everyone was like, sack Daniel Farke. So that took one game to flip. After Sheffield Wednesday, everyone doubled down and was like, let's sack Daniel Farke. So, in the event that we beat Newcastle, will he be just as quick to flick? Or will that be a fluke? Or will that be a one-off? See, this is the difference for me, because a lot of people look at it and they go like, we got a one-off result there. Like, why can't Arsenal be the one-off where we played genuinely badly? Why isn't Sheffield Wednesday the one-off? Why can't we just have a bad week? I don't know. Joe, how do you take the pelters? I've just been told I'm not funny and normal. Someone profiled me blindfold. I take the pelters because I've been doing this for 2 years now. And you get used to it. And you learn how to bounce back against that. Which is fine. Admittedly, it hurts sometimes. There's been days where I've literally just not bothered to stream. Because prior to that, someone will have been genuinely horrific. And I'll just be like, nah, I can't build it with this. But, yeah. They won't flip, they'll just get back in the holes and come out again with a lose. That's my concern. Yeah. You're fine to not particularly want Daniel Farke as the manager, but we've not bought horrific players so far. But again, entitled to your opinion, but it will be proven wrong as the season goes on. In my opinion, at the very least. If we beat Newcastle, some people will say it won't count because they're infighting and injuries. That's true, but at the same time, we've got injuries. And people will not acknowledge that. People will look at our injuries and go, it doesn't matter. By the way, Newcastle's do. That did affect the result. Our injuries, they didn't affect anything. It's nuts. I don't know. If you're comparing the recruitment that we've done this summer to the recruitment under Jesse Marsh, I do not know what to tell you. There's not much I can do for you, to be honest. I mean, he's got a points link. It would be significantly easier to track. Hold on, I think I need to mess with my sound settings. Am I a little bit on the low side in terms of volume compared to normal? Because I keep seeing it being a little bit lower than usual. I don't know why. But I'm going to have to try and fix it. Hang on, let's try that. I'm going to mess with the input volume. Okay, I'm going to pop it to about there, which should work fine. But we'll find out. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit more at the levels that I'm used to it. That should be a little bit louder. I can abuse my... No, don't... Fuck me. Don't abuse people. Why is this a difficult lesson? Abusing people is wrong. Okay? There is no other way that I can put that. If your thought is, I can't wait for the opportunity to abuse someone, you're approaching everything with the wrong mindset. You're approaching that with the perspective of, when can I be a dick to someone? Rather than, what's the actual situation? You're looking forward to a bad thing, rather than looking at the good thing. They get paid more than us. Fine. They don't decide how much they get paid. Fucking hell. If you got offered the amount of money that a footballer was on, would you realistically say no? You wouldn't. Even for a moment. But in the event that you did take that higher level of pay, would that open up the door for, I mean, there are a lot of people on that kind of money, but would you accepting that kind of money open up the door for people to just abuse you? Is the rule that you can just be abusive to anyone that is paid more money than you because money is some magical fucking force field that keeps being insulting out? No, that's horseshit. You know that's horseshit. And it just looks like you're looking for an excuse. How much money, though? That doesn't matter. Someone being paid, whatever they're paid, doesn't open the door for you to be a dick, for them trying to do well, but underperforming. Like, I'm not going to go like abusing Carl Darlow for letting in that goal yesterday, because I know that he didn't want to let in a goal. For me, it's about intentions. I just told you again, faker won't be able to. I don't know what to tell you. You are genuinely doing everything you can to be as abusive as possible towards a person, and I don't understand why. It's nuts. I can't. Based on performance, not but even then, like if someone doesn't perform well, I'm not gonna do what some people do and just like hurl bullshit at them, whether in the stadium, whether on social media, because that it doesn't open a door for you to just be horrible to someone. All right, Slink. He's a fucking paid footballer. Yeah, and you're paid to do whatever job you do. You telling me you've never made a mistake? I'm paid to do the job that I do. I make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes on my YouTube channel. In the event that I make a mistake in a video, in fact, yeah, fuck it. We'll go back to the start of the window, where I had what I thought was credible information that Kostas Tsimikas was going to come to Leeds United. And I put out a video very confidently saying that Kostas Tsimikas was going to come to Leeds United. Now, that is a very, 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 very big mistake. And it was a mistake that, to be clear, I was paid for. Because YouTube ad revenue in that video did quite well. Because it was a bit of news that no one else had that it turns out I was wrong about. Does making that mistake, that was a very big mistake, does making that mistake open me up to abuse? Would it be valid to do so in that instance, Slink? Because if the answer is yes, that's not on. Because at that point, you're just looking for an excuse to be a dick to people. Seems the line for some is blurred between what's abuse and what's criticism. I think it's when it turns into direct insults, to be honest with you. I think going as far as German wankfuck with Daniel Farke, that crosses a line. But, yeah. My carrots cost more than yours, therefore they will taste better than your carrots. Yeah, that's not... no. I don't understand the Okafor signing. Watched him in previous games. I don't think he could... I mean, he was dribbling quite well yesterday, to be fair. But again, he's very, very new here. It was his first start yesterday. He's not started in the league yet. He's just got sort of blend into the team by this point. So... interesting that we're not getting a response on whether or not that would be valid to be incredibly abusive in my general direction. So I'm going to take that as a probably not. But again, I'm going to sort of run through what the chat rules are around these parts. Being directly abusive to anyone, whether they are on the channel, whether they are in the chat, or whether they are just a person, ain't on, and will lead initially to a timeout, and then going forwards will lead to just gone. Because I don't think being abusive is on, to be honest with you. I think that's a bad thing. What I don't like is when people use the person's nationality instead of the person in general to make a point. Yeah, that's not on. Love these chats, but gotta go. That's all good. See you later, Anthony. I will also nip off at some point relatively soon because I've got more DIY to do because we're still working on the kitchen. I'm going to see if there's anyone to redirect to before I close in a few minutes there. There isn't, which is fun. Even Scummers. I think that falls more under friendly banter. Like, at no point am I actively wishing death on a Manchester United fan. At no point am I asking that a Manchester United fan be unemployed because they're a Manchester United fan, whereas you get a hell of a lot of that various other times. You managed to sort your toilet. So, toilet is sorted. We're currently doing the kitchen. So I'm back to doing plumbing, but it'll be fine. Also, channel rule that I didn't mention a moment ago. If you're going to be discriminatory, whether it's based on the fact that someone is a woman, based on someone's race, nationality, anything like that, you can fuck off, to be honest. And that's that. Remember after yesterday, if you care, emotions run high and we all say some stupid stuff. Yeah, I know. And that's why it starts with a bit of a timeout if you say something straight up abusive. Because, sure, you might come back to it and be like, actually, I was wrong there. And if it's a repeat offence, it kind of goes, okay, you didn't learn. Because emotions do run high. It's just about how people manage them. And if you manage them by attacking other people, it's not great. Anyway, I am going to bring the stream to a close there, I believe, because I'm going to get back to doing DIY bits. Hope you all enjoyed it. It went a little bit away from the football itself at a certain point, but that's completely fine. If you enjoyed, please pop a like on it. It's massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet. It's the one button down here that's completely free. Or be a channel member. It's $2.99 a month. And it gives you a bunch of early access to videos and stuff. It's lovely. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. I've got things to do, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo.